welcome. I'm Shivani Singh. New Year's Eve is supposed to be about hope and celebration. But in the upscale Swiss resort of Crans-Montana, the first 90 minutes of 2026 turned into a waking nightmare. At 1:30 a.m., while the champagne was flowing at Constellation, a fire broke out that was so fast and so violent that it left 47 people dead. For those unaware, Crans-Montana is popularly known to be an international ski and golf venue and is located just 40 kilometers away from the Matterhorn, one of the most famous Alpine peaks, and approximately 2 hours from the Swiss capital of Bern. The Le Constellation Bar and Lounge, a favorite for the young and wealthy, became the site of what Swiss President Guy Parmelin has called one of the worst tragedies in our history. This wasn't a terror attack. It wasn't an electrical short circuit. Investigative reports and chilling eyewitness footage actually suggest the culprit was a common party trick, a fountain candle sparkler attached to the magnum of champagne. Today we are going deep into the investigation. We are looking at how a few centimeters of clearance or lack thereof triggered a flashover that consumed a building in less than 60 seconds. To understand why so many people couldn't get out, you have to understand the geography of Le Constellation. This bar was a local institution standing for over 40 years. It was a classic Alp chalet design, lots of aged dry wood, and the main party was happening in the basement. The capacity, roughly 300 people, were packed inside, and the exit, only one narrow, steep flight of stairs connected to the basement, which then led to the street level. The decor, the ceiling was low and covered in decades-old timber, and crucially, acoustic foam panels that have been installed to muffle the noise for the neighbors. At approximately 1:25 a.m., the bar's signature show began. Witnesses describe a champagne train, waitresses carrying magnums of champagne through the crowd topped with fountain sparklers. Witnesses said that a waitress was being carried on the shoulders of a barman. She was holding a champagne bottle with a fountain candle lit on top. These aren't regular candles. They are pyrotechnic devices that shoot sparks 10 to 12 inches into the air. In a basement with a low ceiling, those sparks were touching the roof. This is where the physics of fire took over. Swiss officials have used the term embrasement généralisé, or what we call a flashover. When the sparkler touched the ceiling, it didn't just start a small fire. It ignited the polyurethane acoustic foam. This material doesn't just burn, it melts, and then it drips like liquid fire onto the crowd below. But more dangerously, it releases a cocktail of toxic gases, hydrogen cyanide and carbon monoxide. As these hot gases actually rose, they trapped the heat against the ceiling. Once the temperature reached approximately 500 to 600 degrees Celsius, every combustible object in that room, the wooden tables, the alcohol, the clothes, ignited simultaneously. Witnesses say that the entire club went from a small flame on the ceiling to a total inferno in just 10 to 15 seconds. When the flashover happened, the lights failed. The room went pitch dark, filled with thick acrid smoke. And because there was only one main exit, a massive crowd surge occurred at the base of the narrow stairs. People were literally climbing over each other to reach the air. 16-year-old Axel Clavier, who survived the blaze, described using a heavy table to smash a plexiglass window that was never intended to be an exit. He escaped. But many of his friends did not. Firefighters arrived within minutes, but for those in the basement, the combination of the flashover and the toxic smoke meant they had less than a minute to survive. The human cost is heartbreaking because this was a peak season ski resort. The victims are from across the globe. As of today, identifying the victims is a gruesome task. Swiss forensic teams say that due to the intensity of the heat, DNA and dental records will be the only way to confirm the identities, a process that could take weeks. The response has been a massive display of European solidarity. The EU civil protection mechanism was activated within hours. Over 10 helicopters and 40 ambulances were mobilized to move victims not just to Swiss hospitals, but across the border to France and Italy. French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz have both issued statements of support, while Ukrainian President Zelensky and world leaders from as far as Australia have expressed their condolences. This isn't the first time this script has been written. In 2003, the Station nightclub fire in the US left 100 dead. It was caused by indoor pyrotechnics. In 2013, the Kiss nightclub fire in Brazil left 242 dead. And it was caused by a flare hitting the acoustic foam. The tragedy in Switzerland happened despite a local ban on outdoor fireworks due to a recent drought. However, these fountain candles on champagne bottles occupied a regulatory blind spot. They are sold as party favors and not explosives, meaning they didn't require a pyrotechnic license to operate. Furthermore, Lake Constellation had been flagged in online reviews for alleged security deficiencies and lack of professionalism in the years leading up to the fire. The owners are now facing a massive criminal investigation into whether safety standards were ignored in favor of festive atmosphere. Today, flags across Switzerland are flying at half-mast. A 5-day period of mourning has begun. But for the families of the 47 victims, many of them teenagers and tourists, the question remains, why was the vibe of a champagne service worth more than a fire exit? Today, Crans-Montana is silent. The Christmas lights are still twinkling, but the bars are closed out of respect. Hundreds of people gathered this evening for a vigil, huddled together in the freezing Alpine air, leaving roses and notes that read, "Rest in peace among the stars." It is a reminder that in our search for the perfect vibe and the ultimate party, safety can never be the luxury we choose to cut. Thanks for watching.
For more such videos, subscribe to the Newsx YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.